Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today. We are so happy to be speaking to Mayor Greg Verga. Greg, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, Heather. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. You know, something that is usually spoken about in the dead of winter is the homeless population in Gloucester. And, you know, just because we have never spoken about it before, I thought I would ask you, what is the update on the homelessness in the city?
Sure. I mean, I think with the recent activity in the woods, people were kind of curious about if there was a connection, but I got the facts from the police chief, and the information he gathered from our community impact unit and the Gray Center is there are about 14 to 20 homeless people in the city. And they do a pretty good job, those organizations, of tracking and helping, trying to find them housing, but making sure that they're getting food and water every day, which is happening through the Gray Center. So, you know, we are not immune. We're certainly not like some of the big cities around us that have a much greater population. In my opinion, one is too many, but you know, it seems like it's under control. We have a handle on who they are, where they are, and we're doing what we can to help. You know, we have, like I said, the Gray Center, and there are other organizations that are here to help out depending on the situation. We have no information about homeless families or individuals living in Dogtown. We do know that there have been tents pitched in other areas of the wooded areas of town. But yeah, it's something that wasn't part of the scene when I was a kid, you know, but it is a reality we have today.
So when you say you have no information in the woods, so we can assume that the woods are pretty immune. What shall I say?
I would say, well, yeah, because when this whole thing started, you know, that was one of the first accusations that some homeless person started this fire. And the thing that the fire chief pointed out is either the fire chief or police chief, can't remember, but it's their home, so to speak. They're not going to just, you know, cause a problem in their own home.
Right.
Most likely this was somebody else passing through who did something stupid. So, you know, we shouldn't just paint with a broad brush that homeless people equals bad. You know, there are a lot of circumstances of why they're in the situation they're in. So, like I said, our community impact unit does a great job, and our nonprofit partners do as well.
Well, that leads me to the question, do you think the woods should be closed?
Well, that was an obvious question that was raised, and I talked to Eric Smith, our fire chief, and he emphatically said no, because his theory, which makes so much sense, is keep the woods open because the honest people will be the eyes and ears on the ground. We do not have the staff in the police department and the fire department to be patrolling all of the woods. I mean, if you look at the map, I've been reading through the open space plan. If people want to read it, it's on the city's website. And we have over 50% of our city is wooded area. You know, that's a lot of ground to cover. So these people who like to hike, bike, just enjoy nature, they're the ones we want in the woods and keeping an eye out. If we say stay out, the only people going in are those who aren't necessarily have the best intentions of the city in mind.
But in fact, what you said previously was that maybe they do, because maybe if we're talking about people who are camping there, they don't want their homes to burn.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so more eyes out there, the better, it sounds like what you're saying.
Right. I mean, because it's gone on since the dawn of man that youngsters like to go up and party, you know, place to get away and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And having the people who care about our woods passing through there and seeing campfires that have recently, you know, fire pits that have recently been going, they report it to the necessary authorities. So the last thing we want to do is shut off the woods, because it keeps out the people that are doing the right thing.
Right, right. Well, let's talk about the trails that I understand are cut into the woods to help fire vehicles get in there if they need to. Is that right?
Right. So I did discuss this with Mike Hale, DPW director, just yesterday. So there was a time way before when Mike was an employee here that we did have a department that took care of all that. We do not have a department per se, but the city does, as of, I've got a note here, since last spring, they hired a contractor to clear the road, Old Brockport Road. The Cape Ann Trail stewards have done quite a bit of trail cutting in Dogtown. We do a lot of work ourselves around Babson and Goose Cove reservoirs. And one thing Mike pointed out, which was really interesting, is if there is a fire that wipes out the vegetation on the edges of the reservoirs, that what's left, that bare patch that's there, if there's heavy rain, which we haven't seen for a while, that just washes all of that garbage, that into our water supply. So we want to have a healthy vegetation around the reservoir.
Yeah, right.
So, as I said, we don't have a full department that handles that day to day, but we have been keeping up with it as best we can. And I should add that, during the fire last week, I called David Salino. He's the chief fire warden at the Mass Forest Fire Control, just to thank him for all that they did for us. And so he was saying that once we have all of this situation under control, we can talk again about using their help to set up a wildfire protection plan. And I intend to take them up on that offer.
These are the changing times, right? That small communities that seemed like you wouldn't need a wildfire protection plan suddenly do, right?
Right. I mean, this has just been an extremely dry season. I mean,
yeah.
It's no doubt. So again, it's brought a few things to the forefront that might have been, I don't want to say ignored, but really not in the spotlight because there really hasn't been a need for it or an outcry for it. Mm-hmm. So it's things we need to revisit. That's for sure.
Mm. So here's a question. Just last night, I noticed a plane circling around my neighborhood, which is close to the Woodland Acres area. Yeah. Is there any report? Are planes doing that? Are they looking for fires? Is that happening? Do you know?
I have not heard. I mean, I do know that the Mass Forest Fire Control has moved over to help Rockport now. So they may have spotters up there. I'm sure there's a lot of drone activity too, to just keep an eye for smoke plumes and things like that. I'm just speculating. That's just an assumption on my part.
Yeah, no. And I just thought you might have heard, and I hadn't heard of any sort of, surveillance with planes, but it was in the evening and I thought, well, they would be able to see it.
Yes.
So let's change subjects and talk about your visitor this week. And how did that go with the congressman who came to town? He visited the Open Door and the wastewater treatment center. Yeah,
he came. It was a twofer for Congressman Moulton. I didn't participate in his visit over to the Open Door, but that was a great opportunity. I think it was over 750,000 that got distributed to several, food bank organizations. Open Door, I believe, got 200,000. Which will go a long way to help them complete their project over there. They're still fundraising, folks. If check out their website and see if you can help them out. But as far as his visit here, he stopped into the office. I don't know if you saw the photo online, but it wasn't just a photo op. This was a chance for us to really have a chat with Senator Rep Ferrante, Mike Cahill, Jill Cahill from my office, and Mike Hale from the DPW to talk about the status of our planning for a secondary treatment plant and the efforts of the congressman to get $2 million to us to help in that process. Right now, it's gotten through the subcommittee. It's got a ways to go before it gets through the House and then hopefully through the Senate and then on to President Biden's desk. But, it's definitely A for effort to put it somewhere in front of his colleagues to show how important this is. Right. But we've got a big task ahead of us, as we've mentioned several times. We're about 30, 40 years of kicking the can down the road in terms of living off of waivers from the federal government, the EPA, on our primary treatment plant. The time has come to make the upgrades necessary, and we're hoping we can reach into as many pockets as possible to help us fund that. And we are seriously looking at, as we've discussed before, if there's a potential for a regional approach with Manchester and Rockport and Essex, which is already tied to us exclusively. So if there's a way the four communities can work together, since Rockport and Manchester specifically have serious upgrades they need to do, if we can find a singular regional approach that works best for all of us, that's the way we'll go. And I think there might be some funding opportunities there. But ideally, we want to find ways to get very low interest or forgivable loans or grants that we can do to fund this, because as I said, $80 to $100 million, and that's just ballpark guessing. No one's actually put pen to paper. That's a huge hit to the water rate and the sewer rate if indeed we had to bond that whole amount. So we're just keeping our eyes open for where we can ask for help, and keeping this relationship with the congressman going is certainly a plus. And every time I have a chance to talk to Senator Warren and Senator Markey, I put in a plug as well. So we're hoping there's more to come.
Mm. So do you have any idea how that process would go if, who ultimately decides about a community wastewater treatment center? I assume each member of the community is involved, but is this a state?
You mean a regional?
Yeah, regional, right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first step is to have the communities, in this case, 4 of us, in agreement that it's something we'd like to pursue. Now, Senator Tarr the other day talked about putting together a working group with representatives from each community to really start to hammer this out and see if it's something that is doable. I mean, in the end, if it's not the best solution for Gloucester, we're not going to participate, just as any of the other towns around us. If it's not better for them, they won't participate. So ideally, we're going to take it seriously. We're not going to rule anything out. We're not going to go in there with preconceived notions, have the discussion. And if we can find a way that this works, then we'll proceed. Regardless, the city of Gloucester, we've got to do something.
Right.
So.
Right. And can you just clarify for me the timing of the berm that has to be built around the current wastewater treatment center?
It's, as far as I know, we're ready to go. I believe this year we'll start the construction.
Okay.
And then there's also the one around the high school too, or around the canal side of the high school. So, was that the best place to site a wastewater treatment plant 40 years ago?
Yeah.
Perhaps not. But as they say, it is what it is, and we have to make the best of it. I mean, smart decisions were made before I got here to seek the funding to put that berm up. But in our case, we borrowed it, and it'll buy us time. But eventually, Mother Nature will reclaim what is hers. That was marshland, So it's not just land that was near the ocean. That was marshland that was, repurposed by man. And someday, long after we're gone, it will be.
Or not.
Yes, well, hopefully. But there's enough time to plan. That's the thing. So
Right.
The berm buys us time to get the job done now, but it's laying the groundwork. So 20, 30, 40 years from now, people sitting behind this desk won't be completely baffled about what to do. We need to think ahead.
Right, right. Well, is there anything else on your mind this week?
No, we're all doing a rain dance here, and we had a little tease the other day, but yeah, it's. I just ask people to please abide by the water restrictions. We've gotten a few calls, tattletale calls about houses and other organizations with their sprinklers running. Not cool, folks. We are all in this together. So is your lawn that important? I think I'd rather have water to bathe and drink than to green up a lawn. So please do your part.
Well, do you want to just update us on the specific hours for that?
Sure. It's from before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. or technically between 5 p.m. and 9 a.m., whichever way you want to look at it. But those are the hours. The idea is between those hours, if you're spraying your hose and it's hot out, it's like just evaporating into the air. So ideally, and then aim for if you're watering your vegetables or your flowers, aim for the soil. They'll just spray it in the air because it's not helping much. So again, please conserve. Please do your part. We're trying to conserve what we have. We just had 800,000 gallons lost with that water main break about 2 weeks ago. And then I don't know how many tens of thousands of gallons that were used up, obviously for the right reasons to fight the fire. So without the rain replenishing our water sources, we need to be safe. And those of you that are on wells, don't think that you're completely safe. Wells, the aquifer is finite. So you got to remember that it's not replenishing underground, just like it's not replenishing above ground on the reservoirs.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. And I hope we can talk again soon, maybe in September when school starts.
Oh, don't say that word. School.
I know, it's so terrible. Yeah.
Those back to school sale commercials, I'm sure the kids are going crazy about that.
Yeah, I know. Well, and it's always nice to see that guitar on the wall.
Oh, great. Yeah, I just brought my bass back. So it'll be too late for people to see by the time this airs, but I'll be playing with the Goddesses tonight at the Concerts on the Green at the Meeting House.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, congratulations on that. And we look forward to talking again. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.